Welcome back to the Stories 13 channel. Tonight, we're diving into a tale that begins with something small, just a name on a mailbox, but unravels into something far darker. If you're ready for mystery, chills, and a story that lingers, hit that like button and subscribe for more. I never thought I'd find myself living alone again, but here I was, standing in front of my new apartment complex with a single suitcase in hand. The building loomed before me, its weathered brick facade a stark contrast to the modern high-rises surrounding it. This was supposed to be my fresh start, a chance to leave behind the memories of a relationship that had crumbled beneath my feet. As I approached the entrance, a chill ran down my spine. Maybe it was just the autumn breeze, or perhaps it was something else entirely. I shook off the feeling and made my way inside, the old wooden door creaking ominously as I pushed it open. The lobby was dimly lit, with flickering fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows across the faded wallpaper. I found myself standing in front of a wall of rusted mailboxes, my eyes scanning for the number that matched my new apartment. That's when I saw it, my name, Marco Delgado, already printed neatly on a small white label, affixed to box 13B. My heart skipped a beat. How could this be? I hadn't even signed the lease yet, let alone filled out any paperwork for a mailbox. I blinked hard, hoping it was just my tired eyes playing tricks on me, but the label remained. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching from behind. I turned to see an older man with a scraggly beard and sunken eyes. He introduced himself as the landlord, Mr. Kravitz. "Ah, Mr. Delgado," he said, his voice raspy and low. "I see you've found your mailbox already." I pointed to the label, my voice trembling slightly as I spoke. "But I never filled this out. How is my name already here?" Mr. Kravitz's expression remained unchanged, his eyes never quite meeting mine. "Oh, you must have done it earlier and forgotten. Memory can be a tricky thing, you know." He chuckled, but there was no warmth in the sound. "Now, let me show you to your apartment." As we made our way up the creaking stairs, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach. We passed a few other tenants in the hallway, but they all seemed to avoid eye contact, hurrying past us with their heads down. I could have sworn I heard whispers following in our wake, but when I turned to look, there was no one there. Finally, we reached the top floor. Mr. Kravitz handed me the key to apartment 13B, his cold fingers brushing against mine for a moment too long. "Welcome home, Marco," he said, before turning and disappearing down the stairs without another word. I stood there for a moment, key in hand, staring at the peeling paint on the door. This was it, my new beginning. I took a deep breath and unlocked the door, stepping inside. The apartment was small, but clean, with faded wallpaper and creaky hardwood floors. As I began to unpack my meager belongings, I noticed an envelope sticking out from beneath the radiator. Curious, I picked it up and felt my blood run cold. The letter was addressed to me, Marco Delgado, at this very apartment, but the postmark was dated 3 years ago. With shaking hands, I tore open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, blank, except for 2 words scrawled in red ink: "Don't stay." I dropped the letter as if it had burned me, my mind racing. This had to be some kind of mistake or a cruel prank. I had never set foot in this building before today, let alone lived here 3 years ago. As night fell, the apartment seemed to grow smaller, the shadows in the corners deepening. I tried to distract myself by unpacking, but every creak and groan of the old building set my nerves on edge. Just as I was about to call it a night, I heard its footsteps, clear as day, coming from above me. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. That was impossible. I was on the top floor. There was nothing above me but the roof. Yet the footsteps continued, pacing back and forth, sometimes stopping directly over my head before resuming their relentless march. Sleep eluded me that night, my mind filled with questions and a growing sense of dread. When morning finally came, I stumbled out into the hallway, desperate for some fresh air and a moment of normalcy. That's when I saw it, a framed photograph hanging on the wall opposite my door. It showed a group of people standing in front of the apartment building, smiling at the camera. My eyes were drawn to a familiar face in the center of the group, my own. But I had never met any of these people, never taken this photo. I staggered back, my hand flying to my mouth to stifle a scream. This couldn't be real. None of this could be real. I had to get out of here, had to leave this place behind and never look back. But as I turned to flee back into my apartment, my foot caught on a loose floorboard. I stumbled, my hand instinctively reaching out to catch myself. That's when I felt it, something hidden beneath the warped wood. With trembling fingers, I pried up the floorboard. There, nestled in the dusty space beneath, was a leather-bound journal. My breath caught in my throat as I recognized the handwriting on the first page. It was mine. I flipped through the pages, my mind reeling. The journal was filled with entries detailing events that hadn't happened yet, my new job starting next week, a chance encounter with an old friend next month, even plans for a vacation I had only dreamed about taking. The final entry made my blood run cold. It was dated for tomorrow, and it simply read, "I can't do this anymore. I have to end it." I slammed the journal shut, my whole body shaking. This was insanity. I had to leave, had to get as far away from this place as possible. I scrambled to my feet, ready to grab my suitcase and run. That's when the doorbell rang. I stood there, frozen in place, as the shrill sound echoed through the apartment. Seconds ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. Finally, mustering every ounce of courage I had left, I approached the door. There was no one there, just a small piece of paper lying on the welcome mat. With trembling hands, I picked it up and read the two words written in a familiar scrawl, "Welcome back." As I stood there, the paper clutched in my shaking hand, I realized with growing horror that this wasn't a fresh start at all. Somehow, some way, I had been here before, and whatever had happened then, whatever had driven me away, was about to happen all over again. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly before me, the walls closing in. I could hear whispers now, coming from every direction, growing louder with each passing second. And above it all, the sound of footsteps, getting closer and closer. I wanted to run, to scream, to wake up from this nightmare, but deep down, I knew it was too late. I was trapped in a loop of my own making, doomed to relive this horror again and again. As the footsteps reached my door and a hand began to turn the knob, I closed my eyes and waited for the cycle to begin anew. Welcome back, indeed. Thanks for watching till the end. What would you do if your home seemed to remember a version of you that shouldn't exist? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. New eerie stories are coming every week.